joining me today. My name is Libby Fenstermacher, and I'm here today with Ellesse. And she's here to talk with us about being a woman and a student in astronomy. So, thank you so much for being here today. Do you want to share a little bit about yourself and your background with us?
Yes. So just quickly, my name is Ellesse Lynum-Lozano. I guess like I'm an incoming senior at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I'm majoring in astronomy and astrophysics, but like obviously my school isn't just about me. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I've been born and raised here, but I've been in a military family, so I've moved around a lot. I've been from the East Coast to the Midwest, like all around the US. And just more about me is like I'm Afro-Latina, that's how I identify. I'm half African American and half Colombian because that's where my mom's from. So it's just a little bit about me.
Awesome. What inspired you to choose a path in astronomy slash astrophysics in the first place?
Yeah. I guess my first is because I used to live in Florida. We have the John F. Kennedy Space Center there, so it was always easy. I used to visit there when I was younger, and I remember I had this one trip. They had like an astronomy exhibit, and ever since then, I was like really interested in learning more. I know my parents, they were very much like, you got to watch documentaries, you got to learn more. So I would sit down and I'd watch every like astronomy space documentary there ever was. And then like growing up, it just keep on growing. Like I had moments where I would leave and come back, like, oh, astronomy is probably what I want to do. And by the time I got to middle school and high school, I started taking like math courses and physics courses. And I was like, okay, this is probably what I want to do in the future. Astronomy is the way to go.
Hooked you. Got you in there. That's awesome. Um, what about astronomy excites you?
I feel like astronomy, it's so big. It's a ginormous field. Like, you can discover so many things. It's an evolving field. There's always so many theories, so many sections of astronomy that you can always go into. It's not linear. It's not once you're in, you have to focus on one research project for the rest of your life. You could just move around and skills
Yeah.
apply to other things. I also think it's just cool, like you get to learn about our universe, our world, the planets, how things began, and like the building blocks to everything. There's so much to learn in like so little time. So I'll never be bored. And yeah, it just allows me to be a part of something that's sort of bigger than myself. Because not everyone is going to discover something or be the person who discovers a black hole or be the person that discovers a new theory. It's just cool to be able to be involved in a generation that can like I helped lead to this. Maybe I didn't find it, but I helped do it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's why I'm here today with you. I just want to be part of all this future discovery. It's so exciting for our understanding of who we are and our place in the universe. And I'm excited to see what you end up doing. Um, what about astronomy do you find challenging, and what have you done to overcome those challenges?
I think I already said like math and physics. Astronomy requires so much background information, which is something I've learned, I guess, more recently when I entered college. There's so much you need to learn to even prepare yourself to learn the bigger concepts. It's not all about like cool stars and cool galaxies. You have to get into the math, get into the physics. And that was like a huge starting point when I came to school. I was like, okay, I actually need to focus on learning these things. It might not always be interesting and exciting, but I feel like you sort of need to get through the more boring stuff, the more mundane stuff to get to the more exciting things.
Hmm.
And I guess another challenge for me is always I I'm the type of person where I like to focus on one thing. Like this is what I want to do in the future. This is my goal. But I need to like not limit myself because with astronomy, like just because you want to enter one field doesn't mean that's the field you're going to enter. Because I could wake up one day and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like maybe I don't want to focus on stars. Maybe I want to move on to galaxies. Maybe I want to discover a different field. You just can't limit yourself, and that's a big challenge for me. I don't need to focus on one thing. I can branch out.
Yeah, and it's just such a vast discipline. It's endless in what you can study, and that's what's exciting about it. Um, what do you think is a common misperception that people have about astronomy as a discipline and as an educational path?
Yeah. I know a huge misconception is all about sitting in an observatory, or at least what I thought when I was younger, sitting in an observatory. I'm out all night looking at stars and taking pictures and then going home the next day and starting over. That's barely what anyone does much anymore. Like, we don't go to observatories. That's usually a thing for the technicians. Everything's remoted in, everything's on your computers. And another one is coding. I had no idea astronomers did coding until I got to college, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, there's a whole new skill I have to learn now." And that was also a huge challenge for me because I feel like also because it's such a small field, not a lot of people are going around saying like, "Oh, you should go into computer science, maybe to help you prepare beforehand." So that's a big part. And I know another misconception, especially with the educational path, is you have to go get your bachelor's in astronomy or you have to get a bachelor's in physics. I've met so many people who've gone in math or just computer science and they still go into astronomy. It's
mm,
not one of those fields where you need to go for a specific degree. You could start anywhere. You could go to work and then join to be an astronomer. You don't need that PhD saying you're an astronomer to technically be one. So there's a lot of different options.
that's some really, really solid advice. I'm going to quote you on that in your little article. What are you currently working on right now? What projects,
I know,
etc.?
yeah, I know I'm currently at my internship here at NASA Goddard. I'm in Maryland at the moment. That's why I'm in a little different environment than I'm used to. And I'm just working on my project is mostly for like correcting detector effects that could affect like cosmology and results for like the expansion constant, all this other interesting astronomy things for cosmology for the Roman Space Telescope. And I know it's been really a fun project so far, so I've been really excited about it. And then I know another project I'm sort of working on off and on because I'm here at the internship is I do research with one of my professors. So it's mostly on binary star systems, and we're just checking if it's a binary star. That's
Mm.
always fun to do. And I know, like outside of schooling and my projects, is I know a big goal for me is I do want to do more outreach. I feel like it's really important for astronomers, especially to do outreach because our field is so everyone's in technical language, everyone's saying like scientific words, and so the normal population who isn't like so focused on what we are doing won't understand why it's important. And so I think it's really important that everyone can understand things and know how to maybe join the field. Mhm.
Absolutely. Like understanding our place in space is so important in terms of just understanding humanity as a whole. I mean, it's just anybody can be an astronomer, anybody can be inspired by space, and just got to get out there and do it. What are your near future plans?
Well, my near future plans are sort of just going. I'm very much go with the flow. So I guess my biggest future plan is getting into grad school because I am becoming a senior. But I'm also sort of sporadic because grad school is really important to me, but it's also maybe I want to take a break off. So I've been considering post-bac programs or just internships because I know my philosophy is I don't need to go too fast. I think it's important that I'm learning, I'm having fun, and I'm still interested in the field. I don't want to like go so fast that I burn out by the end of the day. So I just want to take things a little slower.
I am an adult learner myself, and just I personally found a lot of benefit from taking a little break. It ended up prolonging my journey and keeping me on the path in the long run. So whatever you decide to do, I mean, it'll work out. um, do, what advice would you give to someone considering a trajectory similar to yours?
Mm, I would say, like, going back on that, it's not a race against time. I know I started with my trajectory is I actually started college in high school because in Washington, where I was living at the time, they had this program called Running Start, and you could get your associates by the time you graduate with your diploma, which is really fun and cool. But I now sometimes think maybe I should have just continued in high school because you sort of lose the aspect of just like being a kid in college or being a high school student. It's not so, you shouldn't be so hell bent on education. And so I think people, you just need to take it slow. It's not important that you need to be the one with the most research. You need to have the best grades. It's more important that you are able to still learn while having fun and being interested in it. Because I think when other people look out and in and see that you're still really interested, you have so much passion for the field, it's not as important if you have straight A's or if you have done like 10 research projects.
Mhm. Absolutely. Did you receive any mentorship along your path? And if so, what is some of that advice that was given to you?
I know I receive a lot of mentorship from my professors because I'm one of those students. I love talking to my professors. And one of the advice that a really close professor I have gives to me is always talking to people. When I first entered my first year in college, I didn't do anything. I was focused on getting good grades. I would go to a club meeting once a month, maybe. I wasn't really talking to my professors, but it's so important that you make connections early on. And it's not just about, I need to make connections to get a job with them. You want to make connections just so you have people you can rely on, have people that can, at the end of the day, say, like, this person is really good at this, or just having someone to give you advice because if I never talked to my professors this year, I would have never found like so many people I could rely on because I go to them for everything. I go to them for life problems, not just academics. And
Hmm.
because they're just they have lived a longer life than me, so I can always just rely on them for those things.
That's so important to have that community and that network and
Mhm.
have those people that are willing to support you. I'm glad that you found that at Embry-Riddle. That's wonderful. Um, what, if any, changes would you like to see for women in astronomy?
I think there's always a ton of changes. I know for me is there's always this competitiveness that I need to be better than you. I need to do more than you. And I know it's a big problem with like women in astronomy specifically is sometimes women get barred out of these conversations or they're not involved in this research or they're not able to do as much. And I think there doesn't need to be any competitiveness like that. Like it's good to have a little bit because we can, more competitiveness, we can get closer done, we can get more done.
Drives us.
But when there's so much, it just doesn't become a welcoming environment anymore. And that's another big problem is there's certain fields in astronomy I know, and I've been warned that it's going to be hard to be a woman to enter this field. Others have had more progression than others, but I know for like more theoretical or even like cosmology, some certain fields, it can be sort of wishy-washy, like maybe be careful, maybe be more cautious. And with that, I know I would love to see like more support groups recently I've been seeing a lot more like women in astronomy groups or helping mentorships for them. And I think it's cool if these certain environments can happen everywhere. Like even in universities, there should be a women in astronomy type of program so we can encourage more like development and see more changes.
Well, I would encourage you and anybody else watching this to check out the Committee for the Status of Women in Astronomy's page on the American Astronomical Society's website. There's a ton of resources on there about mentorship and about all sorts of problems that women face in astronomy. So I'd encourage you to check that out. It's a great resource. Um, so we're down to our last two questions here. Thanks again for being here today. This has been so informative and so inspiring. And now we're going to go off the astronomy track, and you're going to tell me what your favorite movie or TV show is.
I'm like a huge nerd, so of course my favorite movie is Interstellar. I wouldn't be an astronomy student without it being my favorite. But it isn't my only one. I know I love horror movies. Outside of astronomy, I have a huge passion. I collect like horror movies like VHS tapes, anything John Carpenter, give it to me. Or I know one of my favorite scary movies is The Shining or American Psycho. Those two are really good.
Both great.
And I know for TV shows, I watch everything. On my off time when I'm not in school, I love watching whether it be like reality TV or documentaries. I know like a really big TV show that everyone's going about is Game of Thrones. I've just started entering the Game of Thrones era. I've just started watching it, so it's been really good so far.
Yes, welcome. Welcome to Westeros. Are you are you into the Trek? being a
I
sci-fi.
am. I am extremely into the trek.
Me too. Me too.
I,
It's my home. If only we lived with I mean, I feel like NASA is our own version of Starfleet, frankly, but
it basically is. I think we're basically one of the fleets.
yep, absolutely. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with me today?
Mm, I guess just like overall for like advice is that I've learned that I think is like super important. Everyone needs to know is grades aren't everything. Being quick isn't everything. You don't need to be a young genius. I feel like most people that are in this field are just normal people. They have a lot of interest, they have a lot of passion, and that's what got them the furthest. You don't need to be the most smart person in the office because everyone relies on everyone. Everyone gets advice from other people. So,
That's wonderful advice. And I am so excited to see what you end up doing on your path. I'm going to be keeping tabs and looking for you in journals. But thanks again for being here. And this has been wonderful. And I can't wait to share your story. So have a great rest of your day.
thank you. You too. Thank you so much for having me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye.